Mayor and Trustees, I believe we are live streaming now.
Okay.
Double check everything.
Good evening, everyone. The time is now 7:04 according to our clock. The date is Wednesday, October 25th. Welcome to the regular board meeting of the town of Wiggins. The meeting will now come to order. Shall we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call please, Pat.
Mary Ellen Mercer.
Here.
Chris Sandoval.
Here.
Joanne Roan Cook.
Here.
Charles Roll.
Here.
Anna Brooks.
Here.
Jeff Palmer.
Here.
And Mayor McElhiana is absent tonight.
Thank you. Town administrators report, please.
Sure, Mayor and Trustees, I wanted to just spend a few minutes kind of updating you on a few things on our water system. One, I want to let you know, per our court decree that was signed in August, one of the requirements was that the state engineer's office confirm dry up on the Hawkins parcel as a condition. So that has happened, and so that's going to be entered into the court. I believe that's the last major little hurdle we have on our court decree. So that's going on. I want to talk to you a little bit about our augmentation water this year. As I shared with you in previous meetings, we're decreed for 172 acre feet of water on the shares that we have allocated to us of water. This year we're going to end up putting probably around 150 acre feet of that share water in for pretty well the entire month of August and a little bit of July. We weren't able to put any water into augmentation due to high water levels, which under our court decrees we have to stop putting augmentation water in. So, however, the month of October has been very good for the town. Aug water's been running in the river for the entire month, and as you guys remember, we spent a little bit of money and increased our weir size and did a few more improvements out the Aug pond, and got a couple of pictures to show you. So this is Pond A. And as you recall, back in 14 and 15, we've never got to the point where water ever reached Pond B because of how the system was set up. This is Pond B. You can ski on that, just about. So again, we had about 172 acre feet is what we have under our share water. So far this year, or excuse me, just for the month of October, Free River, we've been able to put 255 acre feet in so far. And we get 60% of that, and 40% goes to the farmers. So that equates out to about 150 acre feet, which is about what we put in our share water. So it's been a very good year for augmentation for the town. So of course, unfortunately, most of that water returns to the river pretty quick. However, it's still going to start building a really nice tail for us because we do have some, years. It gets us out 3 years and kind of gets a long tail. So I think that's just an example of our, as we get the Knievel and Fort Morgan properties on and able to take advantage of when they're running Aug water and there's no calls on the river, that we can really sock some, and especially that Knievel farm that has the longer tail on it. So, but as always, at the first of the year, I'll probably have some updates with you exactly what we pumped and how much water we actually were putting in, and with a little bit of some data about how much augmentation we have for future years. That's been neat. Just wanted to circle back. This is something we talked about probably in late spring. Now that the water is slowing down, we need to put a bypass valve in at the RO, so we can bypass the 50,000 gallon tank, so we can get the tank fixed. And so we're hoping to get on that here, definitely within the next 30 to 60 days. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. A little bit less than I think what we talked about then, but parts for that are probably going to be around the $2,500 range for the parts for everything we need. So we'll be ordering those and getting that fixed so we can get our system repaired or tank repaired out there. So Next, I just wanted to really quickly thank Pat and Sarah. They've been working hard to get that Trails grant finished up this week, and I think they're really close to, hopefully should have it ready to go out the door by Friday. Did want to let you know that the GDM in Kiowa Park and all the 4 builders, or assuming at least 3 of the builders out there, are hosting a VIP night tomorrow. I believe it's from 4:30. You should have got a flyer from 4:30 to
4 to 7.
4 to 7. There we go. And just stop at any one of the model homes that'll be open. They'll have some signs on them there at the corner of 11th and Johnson. And so they're going to have hors d'oeuvres, and just they just want to kind of let you ask questions about the neighborhood and just visit with the builders and just kind of show you what's going on out there. So they did finish paving the streets. The last 2 days have been bringing the sewer lids back up on the risers and doing some other things out there. So things are looking really good out there on that end. Then on Saturday, they're actually having a public open house, and I know they've been advertising in the papers and stuff, but they definitely want to get out, and that is from 11 to 3, and that's for anybody in the public, anybody looking for a home or just want to see what's going out there. It'd be a great day to go out there. They're going to have a food truck out there. They're going to have a tractor pulling kid cart thing going. A band's going to be out there. The houses will be open, and pumpkin costume contests, all kinds of neat stuff. So feel free to show up, invite family, people, anybody you want to know to come out to that. And let's see. Then the last thing I just wanted to review is our budget to actual, since we're going to be talking about budget. So within your documents there, we'll go over a lot of these numbers when we get to the budget, but I just want to see if anybody skimmed through, had any questions. Real quick, kind of just skim through. Revenues are looking pretty good in just about every category except for fines is the one that we talked about last time, which is still low. Let's see. So on our current year budget, the town has taken in on general revenue $607,000, and we have spent $558 on general. And if you got any questions, like I said, I'm just going to kind of skim it. If you got any more details on this or want any more details, please let me know. Oops, let's get to my water. Water revenue is, even though we've had our additional expenditures with the court, water revenue is still staying really strong this year. We originally had $827 budgeted. We're at $865, $859. So $865,000, and we spent $777,000 on water. And again, this will be in your this is actually not in your budget packets there in front of you. This will be in your actual board of packets. Let's see. Then on sewer revenues, we're at $506,000, and we spent $257,000. And the rest is just the CT and the capital projects. So that was when we had to finish our water lines and things along that line. So on our capital projects expenditures, I'll get to the right page here, we're at $258,000. And some of that will actually move over to sewer. So we kind of just throw everything in the capital. Then when we get toward the end of the year, then we break things out. Because we had some sewer costs in there, some water repair and things in that cost as well. So, and of course the CT funds is the let's see here. CT looks a little bit off. I'm not sure. We'll have to look at CT a little bit. So expenditures are revenues at 4204, and expenditures are at 6,900. We had 9,000 budgeted on that on the conservation. The very last page is just a summary of the town's bank accounts. We have multiple accounts set up at 3 different institutions. So currently at High Plains Bank, we have approximately $764,000 in there. Colorado Trust, we have $929. Then we have about $177,000 at Bank of West for a total of about $942,000. We've actually, I think, had another $50,000 worth of deposit in the last day or two that go in there. So we're just right under $1 million in actual cash. With that said, a lot of those funds are restricted and that are set aside for debt reserve, things along those lines. So. Any questions on that? I just wanted to make sure you guys had kind of where we were at today as you were looking through things. So.
Are these numbers through the end of September pretty much?
They are from, yes, they were printed the other day.
Let's see.
Yeah, so from January to October.
To October, not
Correct.
through October.
Would it be current, Pat, when you printed it?
It was to the date that I pulled them.
So probably
October
October,
24th.
yeah.
The 24th.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I just need to know what I'm looking at when I go look at the old ones too.
Definitely. That's all I have,
Okay,
Mayor.
thank you, Paul. Town clerk and treasurer's report.
Okay, well, Paul stole a little bit of my thunder. I was
I'm
gonna
sorry. We need to communicate.
No, it's fine. We tasked Sarah this year with helping us with one of the grants, with one of the narratives for that trail grant, and she has done such a phenomenal job for being such a young lady, I tell you. So I wanted to give her kudos on how great she has done. We just have a few more things. We're waiting for a couple of letters of recommendation, and it's due November 1st, which they request it to be emailed, so we can get it done probably. I'm hoping to have it done by Friday because I don't like to run up to the deadline. So she did phenomenal. Very, very proud of her. So, budget, audit, budget. That's what I've been working on.
Yep.
Do you want me to go over?
Yeah, do you want to go ahead and mention that now?
Okay. When I was doing another check today, our attorney had asked us to do a couple of corrections on the budget, and we had just printed your budgets and mailed them out to you. So on page 1 of within your budget, on your budget worksheet, page 1, and there is a copy up there, Mark, if you need one. When I had made a couple of corrections within our system, all I had done was made some corrections to the wording, and it zeroed out the monies. So the packet that you have that you received on your email has a 0 on the franchise fee for Morgan County, when it's really $5,200 on there now. The franchise fee for the Wiggins telephone, it had zeroed out, and the penalties and interest had zeroed out. So that made a difference of $8,300. So your budget in your packet was off $8,300. So I wanted to make sure you were aware of that so that you knew on this budget, on page 7 of that budget, your things on email showed a negative $7,653, and we're actually to the positive $646 because we cannot have a negative budget. So I just wanted to bring those to your attention, and then the overall budget at the very end, we're at a net profit of $28,000 instead of $20,000. So look at the hard copy that you have in your hot little hands when Paul's going over his budget tonight. You'll match.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Jennifer?
I don't have anything tonight.
Nothing? Okay. Public Works report, please.
Sure, just a couple things, Mayor and Trustees. Just want to let you know, I'm not sure if I mentioned this last meeting, but I want to let you know Stan and Brian both attended the Park and Rec Conference a couple weeks ago. It was held in Keystone, so it was 3 days where they were kind of able to look through some of what the newest things are for Park and Rec and maintenance standards, and some things are coming down. And I still need to sit down and kind of go in detail with them and everything, but they said the conference was very good and they got a lot out of it, and hopefully bring some good suggestions to the city coming forward. Again, I want to thank everybody who helped with the Christmas light night. That was incredible. Thank you again for the people that stepped up and did that. Really, that staff has been working on just kind of cleaning, starting to winterize things, getting things done around town. And also, I did want to let you know that Chrissy has been working with Colorado Rural Water with Mark Foxworthy and getting trained in some more details about the wastewater treatment plant. And so she's working toward her Class D license in that moving forward. So just want to give you a heads up on that. That's a free service. We're a member of the Rural Water Association. That's a free service they provide. So they come in every 2 to 3 weeks and spend about half a day to a day with her and working on some things, which in the past that's really helped the town save a lot of money on operations through that training. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on the reports so far? Okay, Mayor, Trustees, and Board reports, committee reports.
Christmas committee? Nobody there from that, okay.
Oops, sorry.
I'm,
Good.
just reporting that, we're still following up on the hemp processing. We've had a couple of meetings. We have another one coming up on October 29th. And I won't be at the VIP open house tomorrow because I'm actually going to the Northeast Colorado Manufacturers Association. They have a big event tomorrow from 4 to 7 in Sterling. And I'm going to meet in person Trey Miller, who is heading the hemp industry promotion in Northeast Colorado. So I'll be there instead.
Okay.
That's it.
Are there reports from the Christmas committee, or was that it with the lights?
No, I think things are planned and
Ongoing?
put in motion, so, again, just mark your calendars. We need everybody to be there to help. So,
Okay.
I think we got a good group working on it, so I think we'll have a good Christmas celebration. So,
Okay.
we've already started hanging some lights around the willow. So,
Well, thank you. Okay, and mayor's report, Mayor Mack is gone and I have nothing. We'll move to the public discussion portion. Are you here for the public discussion?
Yes,
Okay,
do you want to speak about the budget or other matters?
budget.
budget?
Okay, so we can hold off to the
We
budget.
can hold
then.
off, okay.
Mhm.
Since there is no one here for that, we'll skip to item 4, which is the public hearing. Should we go right into the
Mhm.
public hearing?
Yep.
Okay. The time is now 7:20, and I will open the public hearing on the 2018 budget. The primary focus of tonight's hearing will be to review and possibly adopt the 2018 budget. Excuse me. To properly evaluate the budget, we will hear from town staff and the public before Board of Trustees decides to adopt the 2018 budget. Everyone wishing to speak will be given the opportunity. The order of the hearing shall be as follows. Presentation by the town manager and staff of the 2018 budget. Questions for the town manager and staff from Board of Trustees. Public comment. Close the public hearing. And accept motions from the Board of Trustees for changes to the budget, and accept motion from the Board of Trustees for the approval of the budget. Mr. Lorino, will you present the 2018 budget, please?
Definitely, thank you, Mayor and Trustees. So like we did last year and the year before, I'm just gonna kind of walk through the budget and kind of summarize some of the things in there. And so if you wanna follow along with me, please open up, and thank you, Pat, for the very nice cover and pictures around town. So once you flip over to the first page, that is just a list of officers and staff that are present during this current budget year. On the next page is my letter forwarding the budget, and as I've done in previous year, I'm going to just kind of read the first and last paragraph, and I'll kind of summarize some things in the middle as I go. This letter is required as a part of the state statutes when we forward the budget, just kind of outlining some general themes and purpose of the budget. So, Honorable Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, and citizens of Wiggins, for the past few years, the theme of the budget has been doing more with less, embracing change, and focusing on infrastructure to strengthen the town's quality of life. It was the intent of this budget theme to strive for a better understanding of the need to stabilize the existing town services and look into the future to address upcoming town needs. Although this focus remains important, the town has been and will continue for some time to be in a transitional form of moving from no-growth community to a growing community. This growth will have many positive effects on the quality of life for the coming years. It will allow town businesses to flourish and expand operations. It will produce opportunities for much-needed infrastructure projects to be funded. And it will improve and expand community events that enhance the quality of life for everybody in the community. Some of the main focuses of the budget, just summarizing, is really looking into our water and sewer systems. The town has been and moving forward with investing in different operations for expansion of the water system and the sewer system through various purchases of properties, water rights, and looking at infrastructure improvements as we move forward as a town. Another priority is really this year we've looked at really hard at staff and staff lost those thoughts there. Kind of really looking at different departments where we need staff needs and kind of looking at the salaries and position relative to other communities within the area. This budget does address some of the needs that we have in those areas to move forward. It also allocates funds for different events and organizations such as the 4th of July program, the Christmas program, and also help some nonprofits that help promote and benefit the town. It also gives the town additional resources to work with developers and seek some funds for the quality of economic opportunities that lie ahead for us. So in closing, I just want to acknowledge the Wiggins Board of Trustees, the town staff for their input and dedication and commitment to the community of Wiggins. I'm committed to ensuring responsible, transparent, and effective government for our community as we grow together. The road ahead will have many opportunities for our community. Together we will lead our town to a bright future while we respect the values of the past. It is an honor and a privilege to serve the citizens of this great community, the mayor and the Board of Trustees. So with that, I respectfully submit the budget to you. As you flip to the next one, you'll see the structure and budgetary organization. Well, tongue-tied today. Take a drink of water here. So this lays out our constitutional requirements and explains the different types of funds and systems that we have as a part of the budgetary process and the structure of the town. So your general funds are your general operating funds that we do most of our business out. The capital sales tax fund is an established fund that was passed by ordinance and also by a vote, that those funds are put away for capital projects. That's our 1% sales tax. Then we also have CT funds. So those are the monies we get from the lottery, conservation trust funds, and that is a restricted fund to be used for park and recreation and also could be for maintenance of that. Then our enterprise funds are our water and sewer funds. Those are separate funds that are set aside that should not be intermingled with other funds and should be run like separate businesses as we go forward and we prepare our budget. So the next page is just the budget process and the legal requirements. So these are the different items that Pat and I have to follow as we prepare the budget and submit it to you, and your legal requirements under Colorado statute and how you pass the budget. Next one just kind of talks about budget amendments and appropriations and accountant talk. And then the last one thing is just steps to amending the budget. You know, throughout the years, budgets will change as you get grants, as you focus on different infrastructure, as different monies come in from time to time, you amend the budget, and that's the process for which you go forward. The next is the accounting overview. This is basically how the accounts are audited and how we keep track of the different accounts. So some wonderful reading there. Just talking about what different things mean, what revenues are, what expenditures are, what the different fund balances mean, and what net positions mean. So it's just kind of to educate you as you go through things and see, especially more related to the audit process. So that should turn you, I'm going to take you to the first graph we have. And we kind of prepare these graphs to give you a big bird's eye view of what the budget is. So these are our general budget revenues. So our total revenues that we anticipate for 2018 is $687,920. So as you look forward, starting with appropriated fund balance, so that's carryover pool cash from this year that will be carried over into next year that we appropriate to help balance the budget. The next one is our biggest piece of pie, and that's the appropriated is $34,500, which is 5% of the town's budget. The next one you see is property tax, sales tax, and franchise tax. So that makes up nearly 60% of our revenue going forward. So for instance, there's a total of $407,000. I believe about $227,000 of that is from property taxes, about $125,000 sales tax, and the rest comes from different franchise fees and related activities along that line. The next part of our revenues is the license and permits, which we have budgeted for $74,000 this year, or 11% of our revenues. So these are different licenses, such as building licenses, contractors' licenses, and the main part is obviously building permits. Intergovernmental is monies we receive from other government agencies as shared funds, pooled funds that come our way as revenues. Charges for services are things that we charge to do. VIN inspections would be an example of that, and that is $29,150, so that's 4% of our budget. The miscellaneous revenue is $60,500. That's just unaccounted revenue that really doesn't have a budget category. Sometimes we get some insurance rebates and things along that line going forward. Any questions on the revenues? And we'll go and obviously we'll get into the budget a little bit more in detail as we go through it. The next is looking at our expenditures and kind of starting at the top of the pie there. The first is general government operations, and the total, I guess I'll back up, the total revenue expenditures is $687,273, so just a tad under what our proposed revenues are. So general operations of government is $53,000, or 8% of our budget, and that's just basic things for operations, the paper clips and office supplies, things along that line.
What was that total number?
So we're on the second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is 55,300.
No, for the total amount, 687.
Oh, I'm sorry, 687,273 on the expenditures. So the next is administrative department on our expenditures, which is 11% of our budget, or $72,331. So those are salaries for mainly staff, insurance for people that work in the office. So Pat, myself, our part-time help, and then anybody else that sits in the office. That makes up 11%. Judicial department is our prosecutor and our judge, which is $10,000, which is 1% of our budget. Mayor and legislative board is 1%. You guys get a stipend for being here, and that's at 1%. Elections, $2,500. We will have an election in April, so that is $2,500 within the budget. Treasurer and legal is for our legal counsel that we receive for the town, helping prepare ordinances and things along that line. That is 6% of our budget at $40,150. Next is community programs and development, $46,400. So that's our economic development. That's also our 4th of July. That's our Christmas program, and that's also some of the donations we give to agencies that do things that help make the town work and other things that we normally couldn't do. The next is our police department, which is actually 35% of our budget. As you can see, that's the biggest piece of the pie of the general budget. That is $241,472. And why that's a big piece of pie, that's about where most towns are on their police departments, to be honest with you, in that 35%. I see them anywhere from 30 to 45% of budgets in there. So I know it's kind of, everybody looks at that and go, so, but it is one of the services as we provide. Next is building inspections with $6,000, which is 1% of our budget. Public Works is $91,694.88, which is 13% of our budget. So that's mainly salaries, but also does include some our equipment that we buy and different things that we do for repairs around the public works. And finally, streets is $79,266. So that also can include equipment, asphalt, road patch, street signs, anything along that line. Then Parks and Rec is $35,900, which is 5% of our budget. So those are our expenditures within the general budget. Next is the water revenues, 2018 water revenues proposed budget. This one is a little bit skewed. So our total budget for water is $2,145,600. So I'm actually going to start with our loan proceeds. So we do have a current, been awarded a low interest loan from the Colorado Conservation Water Board, and the remaining amount on that loan is $1,100,000, or 51% of our budget. Generally, it's not necessarily, when the auditors get a hold of this, they won't really treat it as a revenue source, but we need to treat it as a revenue source, so I have it on the expenditure side, so as we watch our capital, we can track it. So that kind of throws you out of skew. Otherwise, it pretty well would be 98% water sales and tap fees. So with that said, but we're going to work off this because this is what we need to work off for our budget. So our water sales are $550,000, or 26% of our budget. Deposits are $5,500, which make up a small portion of the budget. And tap fees, acquisition. So these are revenues we receive from tap fees from new homes being built, and that's $460,000, which is 22% of our budget. Then we have some miscellaneous income for $5,100. And we have water agreement reimbursements. And that's usually from contracts, water sales, things along that line.
On the tap fees, you're estimating how many tap fees for the upcoming year?
We estimated, I believe it was 33 homes. $33 or $38, right in there. I could divide that real quick for you and tell you. Sorry, 40 homes.
How many have they built so far?
At Kiowa Park alone, we're at 43 plus 2 other in town, and we got we got 6 more permits coming in.
That was for the last year, total year, was it a little?
That's from November to November. Yep. And I've been told we will have probably about 6 more for the year's end.
That's the way they're coming in.
Yep. So next is our water enterprise expenditures. So starting at the top again, Professional service, legal, engineering, we budget at $306,000, which is 14% of our budget. And again, this would be a larger portion, obviously, if we didn't have the loan project down there. So that is one of the most expensive items we have in there. So that's water rights, attorney fees, and water engineering. This, hopefully, we will have some grant money to help start covering some of these water fees coming in. That's a part of our USDA grant that we'll be submitting, which will completely change the whole water budget, hopefully by mid-year, if you guys decide to move forward with that. The next we have public works staff and operations, which is 4% or $73,434. Supplies and equipment is $18,000, which is 1%. Operations is 9%, $198,700. Then again, the capital projects is $1,100,000 or 52%. So that's at CW or Colorado Conservation Water Board that we talked about in the very beginning for revenues. Then we got debt service, and all that money within the budget goes directly toward the capital projects assigned for it. It's all we can use it for is the Glassy Farm as we develop that. Then debt service of $354,662 or 17% on the water expenditures. Going to the sewer revenues, this one's a little more open and shut there. So we have two different revenue streams. We have sewer sales, which is 40%, which is $214,500. And we also have the tap fees based off the same number, $240,000 or 53% of our budget. Deposits, just customer deposits. We do show that as revenue, but also it goes back out as people move. So that's $500 is what we budget for that. On the sewer enterprise expenditures, professional services, legal, $13,200. Sewer administration, $69,512, which is 15% of the budget. Public works staff and operations is $65,432.75 or 14% of the budget. And wastewater treatment plant is $44,000, 10%. And operations is $193,500, which is 43% of the budget. And debt service is 15% at $68,000. The other budgetary items we have, which we didn't do a chart for, we do have our 1% capital outlay. So we, based off our conversations we've had at prior meetings during our budget planning, we're still expecting $125,000 in revenue, and we have $125,000 in expenditures going out. That money has not been classified what to be used for. We did talk, it's more likely that probably will have to go to support some of the water projects we're doing on or debt service, just depending on how quick different loans come in. Then the other thing we have is the Conservation Trust Fund, which is $9,800 in revenues and $9,765 in expenditures. So the expenditures, the main focus on that is just park maintenance and one of the part-time summer helps on that. So that's an overall general summary of all the different budget categories. Hopefully everybody had some time to review the budget. So the actual detailed budget numbers have not made any significant changes from when we had our last two budget workshops. I incorporated some additional monies in the 4th of July, like we talked about, what you saw at the last 4th of July. There was a couple categories that needed just a few more $500 in one section, and it was pulled out of another section in general. I think we were missing some on, it seems like FDIC or something like insurance, so that kind of came out of just a small category. So there was a little bit of small shifting, but nothing of significance moving forward. So at this point, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have, which I think is next on the list. I'm sorry, jumped the gun there. I had all these little PowerPoints I forgot to do.
Are there any questions at this time?
In the board packet on page 30.
Now we're going to have to ask you because I know people will be
Sorry.
listening live stream.
Okay. In the budget that was sent to us in the packet, on page 30, section 1, the paragraph says for the purpose state versus for the purpose stated. So I just want to do a correction on that
So this was in which one?
in the board packet. I don't have it marked here.
Okay.
I will get it down to page 30.
So is this in a resolution?
No, it's actually in the budget, or maybe it is in the resolution. Yes, it is. I wrote that down. Right here.
Gotcha. Gotcha, okay.
Got it.
So, yeah, and,
53-2017.
okay.
Thank you.
And that, it's just a typo, Pat, so
It's-
we
that's
won't,
all it
we
is.
won't need to amend the budget or anything when we get that resolution. I'll just have you correct it before Mary Ellen signs it if it passes tonight, so.
Okay.
I know it's a point for you.
No, that's good.
So, and, 16-2017, page 55. I just had questions on how, people would mark areas that they're working near, that they're permitted to work near for public works.
Is this on a resolution?
Could be, yeah.
Is it related to the budget, or is this?
No,
Yeah, I don't think
Oh,
that's not,
okay,
yeah, that's not
that's a
related to the
different-
budget, yeah.
It's 55 on the packet.
Yep.
Okay, just a second.
That's probably for the,
I have the hardest time working this because my fingers are so sore.
have to get you a little mouse.
Yep,
Okay.
it's past budget, my apologies.
Any other I'm sorry?
Estimated, Paul, on the 3,423,320 total revenue.
First, tell me
How
what,
much is that?
you gotta tell me which, what are we
That's
in?
the proposed budget.
On the water?
The total.
No, the total.
Total's at the bottom.
The total
Okay.
revenues for Wiggins is 3,423,320. How much is that going to wages, percentage? do you think?
I don't have a number for that.
Okay.
What page is that on, Jeff?
The total,
It's on a resolution, isn't it?
resolution number 52, 2017. That's the proposed. Estimated revenues will be 3,423,320.
With an adjustment of $8,300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, those are correct. It was only the printed that.
Yeah, that's right.
So these are correct.
Can you maybe educate, like,
You wanna go calculate that real quick?
how long?
I'll be glad. 5 minutes maybe? If you guys wanna pause the meeting, I could do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
We'll take a pause while Paul calculates the percentage.
Thanks, Paul.
Oh, no problem. Okay. I got her. So total salaries proposed for 2018 is 473,800, or 14% of the total budget.
What'd you say, the total was 400, what?
473,800. which is 14%.
Yours is included in that, yes?
Yes. No, let me double check that. I'm not sure if I have that on the salary list. Yes, it was.
On page 9, Paul, that brings up another question. On the salary increases, on yours, it goes from 9,000 to 33,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And what percentage of increase is that for 2018?
So as I told you during the budget workshops, we reallocated where all the salaries were from prior years. We actually pulled stuff out of water to keep water solvent and not have to raise rates, so we put them back to where things were.
Okay.
So you need me to figure out my increase?
So would that be
No.
more percentage of your wage now would come out of water and sewer than
Correct.
would general fund?
Correct.
Yeah, it just rearranges the funds instead of.
Yeah, I
an
don't think
actual
Mary Ellen
increase.
was here for that particular
No, I
meeting,
was
but-
just asking, just to clarify.
Do we have, what would be your total salary for the year then, if you added it all together?
It's
Is that-
96.5.
Is that what it was last year?
No.
Okay.
No, gosh, no.
Okay, are there any other questions on this?
Is that including the benefits? Or
No.
just straight, okay.
Okay. I think that answered that. Are there any other questions for Paul?
No, I think, well done.
Lots
To
of
be
hard
this
work.
far and this close in October, I think it's well done.
Right.
And I might address what Jeff asked. I had asked Paul the average increase of salaries, and he said give or take 8% across the board for everybody for the year. So that's the average increase in staff salaries.
And I think what you might not understand about the budget is that a part of my salary comes out of one fund, and then another section, and then another
Right.
section, so it's a percentage.
Out of
So you have to
different
add
funds.
them all up to be able to get
Right.
what that is instead of
That's
thinking.
actually all the employees
All
except
of
for a
the
couple of them.
employees.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
We
So-
don't have too many that are dedicated to one revenue or expenditure area.
No,
No.
so you'd have to look at all three funds.
Right. Any other questions for Paul?
One thing I don't see a lot of in here is like funds allocated for our own building department, and I feel that as our town grows, and it's growing pretty rapidly, that I think we need to have something set up for a new hiree of someone who's qualified to do all the building that's going on. I figure we need to have our own building department, maybe our own inspector, and then somebody to review all the plans, everything, free you up to do more of what you need to do. And I don't see that
Yeah.
allocated in here.
I agree. The only increase in employee positions outside of a couple, we have one more part-time for the summer. We moved one part-time to a full-time. So it's just about impossible to get the budget to work with another employee or a salary at this point. So I know that's gonna be a priority for me in next year's budget for sure. We've been looking at some options to get through the next year. Definitely been exploring some different options of using third party. Stan and Brian has been spending some time with Dustin and learning and picking up on them. So I'm actually looking to see if that's feasible to go ahead and have them get some training within that to kind of help out with that, to kind of get us over into the next year. But
And something else we could look at is that there are other smaller communities in the area. We may be able to partner to fund a building department with an inspector to service all of the community, those smaller communities
Mhm.
as a package. So we have a lot of options for getting that done. It's defining what we need to do, what needs to be covered, and how we're going to generate the income for it. And that's why a lot of this depends on the sales and use tax.
Yeah,
That will tell
and that's not
us.
shown in the budget if that passes, but.
None of that goes through yet.
But yeah, it's an interesting transition. Yeah, we're just there's not a there was only I think about the 2 annexations and 5 homes that increased our property taxes, and all these other homes don't even show up, most of them, till next year. Then it really is going to be the next year, then you're going to start really realizing some of those where we're going to be able to kind of start filling in some of those positions and things. So yeah, we've the town has been very creative of getting a lot of different things done and everybody working in a lot of different departments to keep things floating and moving. So we'll have to still continue to do that. It's just there's the problem is you look at the general budget, which that would have to come out of. There's just not room to move anything for where we are. We could. One of the other biggest need is maintenance equipment and upkeep, and we always seem to bust that budget category because it's just a little thing here and a little thing there, and it just starts adding up.
That's where we got a lot of people that they complain about roads and no sidewalks, no curb and gutter, no storm drainage, no lots of things, no pothole fix. That's just what everybody's complaining about, whether we're doing it or whether we're not. Some people just complain to complain.
They do. Yep.
So, in my mind, I feel that maybe we could allocate some of the money that we're going to give, and I don't want to sound like a Grinch, but to raises and that temporarily to those types of things. And then if we get the use tax passed, if we get more building going on, then we can appropriate the budget accordingly. But I feel that we should focus more of our budget on our infrastructure of our town, personally, and then as money comes in, then dole it out to raises and stuff like that. That's my personal.
Sure. And there's nothing more that I would love to have as money to do some of these things. I've been talking sidewalks since I've got here, and money to do streets, and finding creative way to do things. It's just those projects are such huge hundreds of $1,000s of projects.
Yeah.
And, it's obviously going forward, subdivisions, they put a subdivision in, they're going to put roads and infrastructure and sidewalks in. We're not going to allow how subdivisions were developed without those in the past. But yeah, it is. It's a challenge because they're multi-$100,000 into $1 million projects. We need Main Street repaved, and that's $1.5 million, $2 million at minimum, to fix that road. So we need some other revenue sources, and I appreciate. I know a lot of you got slack for discussing marijuana. That is a possible revenue source. Why you brought it up. That's why instead you guys are really pushing hard for the use taxes. It doesn't cost the town. It doesn't cost anybody anything, and it's a great revenue source. And we're on the verge of having some pretty large building projects going on next year, and they're paying the sales tax to Brighton, they're paying it to Greeley, and it could come here, and that's exactly as your town manager. I'm going to say every dime of that needs to go into streets and sidewalks, because that's where it needs to go in storm. So 100% agree. But with that said, kind of back to your comment, Jeff, that's we're at the point of, even though the percentage looks large, we are still so far behind what our neighbors are paying for the exact positions. We've done that for the last 2 years. The town's really held off on doing any increases, but you studied the salaries, and even since we planned this budget, going to town managers meeting, I've received what they're doing for this next year, and boy, we're just not even keeping up. Even Hudson was, I don't know, Chrissy handed me something the other day. They were, $23, $24 an hour for the same position she does, and we pay $12 right now, with benefits, obviously. So it's at some point.
But the reason, and I'm going to interject here because I think really quickly we can look at the graphs and see that our focus has been the water system, and it had to be because of the penalties that are involved with that, the regulatory. So those monies had to be spent, and because of that, we took that step first, water first, and then building a community so we have a higher sales tax base so that we can add to the revenues so we can generate the funds. The only other option is to raise property taxes, and none of us wants to see that.
Right.
But where's the money going to come from? That's been the fight, at least as long as I've been here. And water was the priority, and we've done that.
That's
Thank
been an issue for every budget year ever since I can remember, and I think we get through this coming year, and we're gonna see some increase in revenues come in, and we'll be able to fund those projects that you're talking about, Jeff, that,
They have been on the table.
they've been there for years, they've been talked about for years, but the money hasn't been there to do it with, because we've had to use that money elsewhere in the budget since I've been involved with the town administration since 1988. We've always had that focus on wanting to have curb gutter sidewalks, streets paved, try to make things better for all of our town residents, but the money's the issue. We've got to have the revenue coming in to do it with the increase in the building projects and so forth. There will be more revenues coming in, but I think it's gonna be another year before we see a lot of that property tax coming in, and I feel like this budget is something that is a workable budget if we can get through 2018 with this budget. The following years are gonna be much better.
It's growing pains.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
growing pains.
Anytime that you.
We've always had the issues of
Yeah.
streets, and we always will have the issues of streets because the cost of what it takes to build a street, to pave it.
Yeah, it's not getting cheaper.
No,
But-
Fort Morgan's looking at adding $1 million a year to their budget, so.
But yeah, I mean, with that said, I really appreciate what Trustee Palmer says. It is an important thing, the infrastructure, and we
Absolutely.
haven't had funds, since I've started here, I mean, if you look at the funds we recovered, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars of stuff by just rebidding things and getting new prices and changing people. But, I'll always come back and say it is remarkable, I'll come back and you compare the size of staff that I have here in this town compared to other towns our size.
Yeah.
There's cases where we're less than half, and our employees are our greatest asset in this town. We have dedicated, loyal employees, and we got to at least get in the ballpark of ranges, because we need to take care of things that take for the water system, it just takes so much time when we lose an employee to get somebody up to speed to take care of things, to handle emergencies, just learning where the water valves are, in this town, because they're not,
And
the
hiring
map
people.
burned up, so.
And being able to hire a quality person at that rate.
So, I kind of respectively, ask, as you consider the budget, just kind of remember that the asset that we have built with our employees, and they're going to be the greatest assets moving forward when we have those revenues to get these things done that you want to get done, the water system and the storm and things along that line. But,
Well, I agree. I mean, I appreciate our employees very, very much. So I might, just in defense of what I'm saying, is ask them to have the same patience and understanding as the citizens have had to have for over the years, that we're building for it, and that if you can just hang on a little longer, the money will be there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's just where I'm coming from, is
sure.
I would love to give them everything they wanted, but I feel that as of right now, it'd be better to take this money and appropriate to, into the roads and all that, and then if there's any extra, then we go them out to the wages and all that. But, because I don't want them to think that I'm against them in any way. I would like to give them whatever they want. But at this time, the money coming in and the money we're spending, I just don't see that it's available for us.
Well, our goal is to bring commercial and industrial in here, so we have jobs and we have sales tax revenues and stuff, so we can continue to pursue that on an ongoing basis, and that will generate enough that we can pay a quality income to our employees as well.
And when that time comes, we'll always amend the budget and do whatever we gotta
When
do
it
to
comes, absolutely.
I think we have our work cut out for us for the next few years, or whoever is on the board at that time. Yeah.
With that said, it's exciting times for Wiggins, because
It
as
is.
you look at the infrastructure is built on the new developments that'll be coming. They're going to put all that in, and they're going to be creating new property tax revenue. And it's these newer developments that are actually going to give us a lot of the revenue that, if we can get the use tax passed, to do these things and to get the other parts of town that are struggling to be done. So, I know Main Street to me is just one of the biggest things we need to get taken care of, in the town. And, obviously we have some residential areas that are in need. So,
Right.
but yeah, we'll, you know, definitely want to continue discussing different revenue sources, and I think you guys have been very proactive with the use tax and, you know, looking in some alternatives to bring factories in and incentives and things we can do to kind of help start moving things forward. And I really, as your town manager, if things continue at the way they're going, I honestly and truly say I think you're really going to start seeing some of that commercial and industrial, and when we get the sales tax rolling in, that's gonna be a huge benefit for the town too, just going forward. So,
One last thing, I do appreciate both of your hard work.
thank you, I appreciate that.
I have to, I know I don't speak very often, but one of the things that I hear all the time from staff is how much we appreciate our town. We do a lot for our town because we want to see it grow and we want to be a part of it. And I remember one of the questions in my interview was, why did I want to come to work for the town of Wiggins? I want to see it grow. I want to be a part of it. And I think all of us that work here want to be a part of it as well. So
And to
we
help it grow in the direction.
love being here and love being a part of it, and we'll do anything for this town. So we appreciate you guys acknowledging that, but we're here for a reason as well, because we love our town.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that as a team here, we work together with the staff to put together a long-term plan and vision, and we are working towards that. And we're gonna have those squeezy moments.
Sure.
Everybody does, but,
Yeah.
just build a bigger town with still a small town feel, clean, comfy, family-oriented town feel. That's our goal.
Any more comments or questions for the town manager from the Board of Trustees? Okay, at this time I'll ask for public comment.
Sure.
If you'll state your name, address, and does he have to be sworn in, Pat? Okay.
No.
Just your name and address, and go ahead with your comments.
Okay. My name is Mark Strickland. I'm at 102 11th Avenue in Wiggins, Colorado. And I just want to say thank you for your time to be able to discuss this. This is a very sensitive topic, obviously. So one of the things that has concerned me since I've moved to Wiggins is the police department. With what I've known as only 2 officers and a town that is going to double in size here in the next few years, that doesn't seem to be a sufficient number of officers to be able to take care of a highly growing town. I noticed that there is a opening for an officer on the town website, but the pay seems to be very unattractive to be able to lure somebody in to be able to do that type of position. Now, when I was growing up in just outside of DC, my mom was raising 3 of us on a salary as a female officer in DC, so she didn't really have time to be a mom because she was spending all her time being an officer. And so that sacrifice injured our family and has carried on, and that is something I don't want to see our town forcing our officers to have to sacrifice. They are kind of the key role to be able to keep the peace around here, and I appreciate that. So thank you for your service. And I also know that we have a volunteer fire department service. So I just wanted to bring those concerns that as our town is growing, we need to make sure that we're making those pay increases comparable to the growing. Because if we are going to double her salary, I'm sure she's going to be willing to stay. But future individuals coming here seeing, you know, I think it's 31,000 starting salary is not attractive. I see that as something that needs to be worked on immediately to be able to secure that individual to protect the safety of the citizens. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Mayor and Trustees, on to that comment, I as he was speaking, I misspoke and said we moved a half-time position to a full-time. We also did add a full-time position for the police department, which I neglected to say, so we have a position and a half. And we do have a salary increase, obviously, for our police officers in there, but it is still about 9,000 to 10,000 below what the starting salary is for everybody else in the area.
So what is the salary for the position that's open?
Currently, it's advertised at our current rate, which is 33.5, I think is what it is. And we're looking at taking both those police officer positions to right around 40 to 41. I think one's 40,500. The starting pay in most communities around here, Hudson, Loch Louis, wherever you look, Fort Morgan, is anywhere from 49,000 to 52 in that ballpark for just a starting officer, which is not even where we're at with our sergeant.
So we need revenue.
We need revenue.
Yeah. Are there any other comments? At this time, I will close the public hearing. And we will accept motions from the Board of Trustees for either changes to the budget or approval of the budget.
The mayor and trustees, kind of how I set it up, if you have a particular line item you want to amend, and for instance, if you want to move money from one category to another category, if you just follow Robert's rules of order and make a motion, if that motion is seconded, then you can have a discussion and approve to move a line item. If no one wants to move a line item, then we can go straight to the resolutions for consideration. So.
Is any of our police department salary paid out of the water and sewer?
No.
No, we can't.
We can't even if they
No.
do,
No.
like
No.
ticket writing or anything like that?
No.
We can't.
It has to be strictly
That's
related to
all.
the enterprise.
That's fine.
Do I hear any motions?
Oh, shoot.
At this time, I will ask the town manager to introduce each resolution associated with the budget for the Board of Trustees consideration.
Mayor and trustees, the first resolution is 52-2017. It's a resolution summarizing expenditures and revenues for each of the funding, for each fund, and adopting a budget for the town of Wiggins, Colorado for the calendar year beginning the first day of January 2018 and ending the last day of December 2018. And this is a statutory requirement that we set forth the revenues and expenditures and as shown in the budget and adopted as the budget. And behind it as an attachment is the notice of the public hearing that's also required under Colorado statutes. So this budget meeting has been properly noticed and published in the Fort Morgan Times.
I move that we pass resolution number 52-2017, resolution summarizing expenditures and revenues for each fund and adopting a budget for the town of Wiggins, Colorado for the calendar year beginning on the first day of January 2018 and ending on the last day of December 2018.
I second it.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 52-2017, a resolution summarizing expenditures and revenues for each fund and adopting a budget for the town of Wiggins, Colorado for the calendar year beginning on the first day of January 2018 and ending on the last day of December 2018. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Pat.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Roan Cook,
Yes.
Charles Rule,
Yes.
Anna Brooks,
Yes.
Jeff Palmer,
No.
Mayor McLeon is absent, Mary Ellen Mercer Pro Tem.
Yes. Motion has passed. Okay.
Sure. Mayor and trustees, the next is resolution number 53-2017. This is a resolution appropriating sums of money to various funds and spending agencies in amounts and for the purposes set forth below for the town of Wiggins, Colorado for the 2018 budget year. So this resolution actually does the appropriations of the spending amounts so they can be a part of the budget account for the town staff and trustees to utilize for the 2018 year.
I move that we pass resolution number 53-2017, a resolution appropriating sums of money to the various funds and spending agencies in the amounts and for the purposes set forth below for the town of Wiggins, Colorado for the 2018 budget year.
I second that.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we pass resolution number 53-2017, a resolution appropriating sums of money to the various funds and spending agencies in the amounts and for the purposes set forth below for the town of Wiggins, Colorado for the 2018 budget year. Roll call, please.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Rodencook,
Yes.
Charles Rule,
Yes.
Anna Brooks.
Yes.
Jeff Palmer.
No.
Mayor McLeon is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Mary Ellen Mercer.
Yes. Resolution number 53, 2017 is passed. Paul?
Mayor, next is resolution number 54, 2017, a resolution levying general property taxes for the taxable year 2017 to help defray the cost of government for the town of Wiggins, Colorado for the 2018 budget year. This resolution levies the property taxes based off our 32.212 mills that was approved by the Wiggins voters. Behind it is the certification of levies. I do want to point out one little discrepancy you will see. The current year gross total assessed value that we received from the assessor's office in Morgan County is $7,043,910. You'll notice on this resolution the amount is $7,052,040. We did receive a written notice from the assessors that we will have an increase from something that was miscalculated to that $7,052,004 number. So we'll replace that certification of values when that comes in December for that. So I just want to point out that discrepancy. So this is levying the property taxes.
All right. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we pass resolution number 54, 2017, a resolution levying general property taxes for the taxable year 2017 to help defray the costs of government for the town of Wiggins, Colorado for the 2018 budget year, with an anticipation that that number will change in sometime December 2018.
I'll second that.
Or 2017.
It has been moved and seconded that resolution number 54-2017, a resolution levying general property taxes for the taxable year 2017 to help defray the costs of government for the town of Wiggins, Colorado for the 2018 budget year as amended in December. Any further discussion or questions?
Only one question.
Yes, sir.
34,500.
Say that one more time.
The general operating expense of 34,500. We need to move some money. Is that what I'm understanding here? Amount of money necessary to balance the budget?
Oh, the 34,000, and that's the appropriated balance. So we'll be carrying a balance forward from this budget year into next budget year.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Roll call, please, Pat.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Rodencook.
Yes.
Charles Rule,
Yes.
Anna Brooks,
Yes.
Jeff Palmer.
Yes.
Mayor McLeon is absent, and Mayor Pro Tem Mary Ellen Mercer. It's a lot of
Tongue-
M's.
tongue timer.
Yes. Okay, resolution number 54-2017 has passed.
Mayor, next is resolution number 55, 2017. This is a resolution appropriating sums of money for long-term debt payments. This resolution obviously required in Colorado statute that we set forth and set aside money for our payments to our various funds. All these are out of our water fund to be paid. So the $126,626 is our USDA fund that we have for the RO system. The $20,446 that we have in there is again related to the second loan that we took out to finish the pipeline into town back in, I believe, 2013. And we do have a small loan with High Plains Bank for the 7 acres that we purchased. That'll be a part of the new USDA loan grant program going forward. And then the 138,052 is also the payment for the Knievel property to Bank of West. I did not include the CCWB loan because we don't expect that payment to maybe come due toward the end of the year. So we'll readjust that if we need to at the end of the year, just based off what timing and construction will be.
Any questions, discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve resolution number 55-2017, a resolution appropriating sums of money for long-term debt payments.
Second?
Has been moved and seconded that we approve resolution number 55-2017, a resolution appropriating sums of money for long-term debt payment. No further discussion. Roll call, please, Pat.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Rodencook,
Yes.
Charles Rule,
Yes.
Anna Brooks,
Yes.
Jeff Palmer.
Yes.
Mayor McLeon is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Mary Ellen Mercer.
Yes. Resolution number 55-2017 is hereby passed.
Sure, Mayor and Trustees, the next is Resolution 56, 2017. This is a resolution creating a non-emergency reserve for the town of Wiggins. Again, under Colorado statute, this is stating that any revenue left over by the end of the year can go into a reserve account as opposed to being returned to the taxpayer. So it sets it up so we can use it for other things in years to come.
Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve resolution number 56, 2017, a resolution creating a non-emergency reserve for the town of Wiggins.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve resolution number 56-2017, a resolution creating a non-emergency reserve for the town of Wiggins. Roll call, please.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Roan Cook,
Yes.
Charles Roll,
Yes.
Anna Brooks.
Yes.
Jeff Palmer,
Yes.
Mayor McLeon is absent, Mayor Pro Tem Mary Ellen Mercer.
Yes. Resolution number 56-2017 has hereby passed. And the final one, Paul?
Yes. Resolution 57, 2017, a resolution certifying compliance with Article 5, Section 20 of the Colorado Constitution. This is for compliance with Tabor. This is actually where we certify to the county that we want them to go ahead and tax properties based off our 32.212 mills for the certification of levies. The second attachment you have shows what the levies would be based off of what the total assessed values are, the $7,052,000 that we showed for a total property tax revenue, $227,160. Also behind that was the original ordinance and resolution that was passed by the voters of Wiggins in 1996, levying that 2% tax. Or excuse me, that 2%, the 32.12 mills.
And Paul, did you misspeak? Resolution certifying compliance with is that Article 10 or Article 5?
Yes, it's 10, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm moving too far.
You had a hard time. Wanted it to be clear.
Yes,
Okay, any questions?
that's right, V. There we go.
Do I hear a motion?
I move we adopt resolution number 57-2017, a resolution certifying compliance with Article 10, Section 20 of the Colorado Constitution.
Second it.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 57-2017, a resolution certifying compliance with Article 10, Section 20 of the Colorado Constitution. Roll call, please, Pat.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Roan Cook,
Yes.
Charles Roll,
Yes.
Anna Brooks.
Yes.
Jeff Palmer,
Yes.
Mayor McLeon is absent, Mayor Pro Tem Mary Ellen Mercer.
Yes. Resolution number 57-2017 has hereby passed. Okay.
Thank you, trustees and mayor. I appreciate your work and time on this. I mean, it's, as I mentioned before, it's one of the most important things I think you do as a board of trustees. And just for people that are listening, that will listen, you know, I want to emphasize the amount of time that each of the trustees have spent looking at the budget and making hard decisions. And, you know, it doesn't mean everything's always agreed to, and that's absolutely fine. It shouldn't be an easy thing to do, but this really sets up everything the town will do and move forward. It does put a great emphasis on keep improving our water system and our sewer systems. And I am hopeful that mid-year we'll be able to come back once the use tax is passed by the voters, that we can amend our budget and make some really good strides toward the roads and the streets and those other things we need to get done. But I do want to appreciate, because I know some of the council members, I think we had a couple budget meetings that went closer to midnight, and it was a good meeting. It wasn't a meeting because we couldn't agree. It was a meeting because every one of these trustees sitting around here really wanted to spend the time to run numbers and understand where the money's going and how we can better serve our citizens with that money. So I just want to shout out to everybody here and just thank you for your time and effort on that. So
Thank you for yours.
Yes, thank you.
thank you, and Pat's as well. Thank you for her
Yes.
help.
Yay.
Thank you. Okay. Number 6 on the agenda, discussion and action items which may or may not be voted on. Our first item of business is approval of the minutes for board meeting held on October 11th, 2017.
I move that we approve the minutes for the board meeting held on October 11th, 2017.
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the board meeting on October 17th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, the minutes are hereby approved. Next item is approval of the bills in the amount of $77,095.34.
I move that we approve the bills in the amount of $77,095.34.
Second it.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we pay the bills in the amount of $77,095.34. Any questions or discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Roancook,
Yes.
Charles Roll,
Yes.
Anna Brooks.
Yes.
Jeff Palmer,
Yes.
Mayor McLeon is absent, Mayor Pro Tem Mary Ellen Mercer.
Yes. Okay, the bills approved, we've approved the payment of the bills. Next item is the discussion and approval of liquor license renewal for Louis Liquor.
Sure, Mayor and Trustees, every year the liquor license come up for renewal, so it does require a affirmation by the board that you're okay with Pat sending in the application for renewal for Louis Liquor. And Jennifer, have you had any issues or problems
No, I
to report? And town staff has not had any issues or problems come before on Louis Liquor?
I move that we approve the liquor license for renewal of Louis Liquor.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve the renewal of the liquor license for Louis Liquor. Roll call, please.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Roancook,
Yes.
Charles Roll,
Yes.
Anna Brooks,
Yes.
Jeff Palmer,
Yes.
Mayor McLeon is absent, Mayor Pro Tem Mary Ellen Mercer.
Yes. Okay, we've approved the renewal of Louis Liquor license. Next is the approval of the liquor license renewal for Stubbs Gas and Oil.
So same thing, Mayor and Trustees, just need affirmation from the board. Staff has not received any issues or problems or comments, and Jennifer, you have anything to add?
I don't.
So
Okay.
we would recommend approval of the Stubbs Gas and Oil.
Okay.
I move that we approve the liquor license for Stubbs Gas Station,
For Stubbs Gas and Oil, okay.
gas and oil.
Okay.
Second.
My language.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve the liquor license renewal for Stubbs Gas and Oil. Roll call, please.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Roancook,
Yes.
Charles Roll,
Yes.
Anna Brooks,
Yes.
Jeff Palmer,
Yes.
Mayor McLeon is absent, Mayor Pro Tem Mary Ellen Mercer.
Yes. Okay, the approval of the liquor license renewal for Stubbs Gas and Oil has passed. Item number 5, discussion on CDOT auction, Paul?
We could go ahead and skip that item. That
Okay.
was it was the other day. I had it wrong on my calendar, so.
Okay, moving on.
We've been working on budget. Charles had plans to go with me and everything to go look at
don't
things.
worry.
Go look and it's already
Oh,
open.
sorry.
He's like, when you want to go? I was like, can we back up the clock?
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday. Where were you, man?
Okay, item number 6, discussion on closing town hall on December 21st, 2017.
Sure, Mayor and Trustees, on December 2nd, which is a Saturday, my full staff will have to work for the Christmas parade. So as opposed to giving comp time and trying to schedule that off, in the past we've just given an extra day off. So currently they have Friday off, which would be Christmas Eve, and Monday is Christmas Day. So this would give them Thursday off, which would give them a nice 5-day holiday. So I would ask if everybody's okay with that.
Yes.
You can do a yay nay if you want, real quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is everybody approved?
Approve.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's given that we approve that. All right. And a cancellation of the November 22nd, 2017 and December 27th, 2017 Board of Trustees meetings.
Sure, Mayor and Trustees, the November 22nd one is right before Thanksgiving, and so I would recommend if you want to cancel that regular council board meeting, we can. And then, of course, December 27th is right after Christmas and right before New Year's, which some people may have some long holiday plans or just need a break. So I would recommend that we cancel both of those regular board meetings. If as I've told you in the past, if something comes up of a matter that needs to be discussed with the board, I will call a special board meeting and ask you guys to come in to deal with an issue that needs to arise. So
Do you just need a
Do you
yea
need
or
a
nay?
motion? or-
actually, because that is approved by resolution, I
Okay.
would just need someone to make a motion. You
All
can
right.
still do the yea nay, but you
Okay.
do need to make a motion on it.
All
So.
right.
Okay. I move that we cancel the November 22nd and December 27th, 2017 board meetings.
Seconded.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we cancel the November 22nd and December 27th, 2017 board meetings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, same sign. Okay, we have hereby canceled those two meetings. Okay, number 8.
Sure, Mayor and trustees, as I mentioned before, the mayor asked me to kind of put together kind of a guide for trustees to kind of just of different codes and ethics and responsibilities of the Board of Trustees. So I handed out the last meeting, so you guys could start reviewing that and give some thought to that. So I just, we'll put it out as a discussion item. We'll continue to have it as a discussion item until the board thinks they're ready to take action on it or not take action on it. So just open for discussion if there's any other comments anybody would like to add to it or things along that line, so. And I do have a couple hard copies if someone didn't get, I know most people grabbed hard copies. Does anybody would like another hard copy?
I would, please.
Okay.
This
I haven't had enough time to go through this whole thing. I've only gone through half of it.
And again, this would have to be adopted by resolution,
Yeah.
so it's just a discussion item. So,
How do you want our responses? Our input?
Thank you.
I should-
You can, I think if you just take your hard copies and write comments on them, and you guys can just discuss them together at a meeting. I don't think it's,
Okay.
you know, it's not an urgent matter or anything. Really, I think this is just gonna help set councils up for the future and help you guys with your responsibilities, because as the town grows, I think it's gonna become more and more critical with issues that'll come up that you guys are engaged and active, and we know what the relationship is for everybody, so things can function well and do well, and you guys can be productive and create the policies you need to create, you know, moving forward. So, and it also deals with, you know, legal issues and things along that line. It's really about protection to you for you guys as well. So,
Well, I've already learned reading through this, so it's gonna be a great reference tool.
One concern I have is the trustee mail. It says all mail for trustees will be opened by the town clerk. I don't like that.
sure.
I don't want mail opened by anybody but me.
Sure, stuff that is comes to the town of Wiggins, because sometimes we could receive complaints, correspondence, checks, money. We've had stuff sent to the mayor that was actually checks. So even my mail, with exception that comes from attorneys, the clerk opens it as well. So that's pretty a standard policy. I could look in the legality of that, but I think that's pretty standard in most places. If it's something that's personal, we obviously don't, or you know, packages, you know, like we don't open your things we get from CML and those kind of things. But you know, if it looks like if it's official business that come from town, because occasionally it does happen.
I still have I don't know, I mean, if someone mails a check and it comes in my name, I hope that I'm honest enough that I would give it to the town, not to theft. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, for me, I was just raised that way, that if the mail's addressed to me, it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how I really feel strongly about that.
Okay, I'll definitely look in to see what the legal aspect of that, because I think where that comes out of, it's mailed to the town at the town address as a trustees, it's considered property of the town, and that's probably where that comes from. And you know, usually there's that initial screening, just as anything comes to, you know, someone in our staff and anything along that line, the clerk pretty well opens and goes through, sorts it, then puts it where it needs to go. And so, but yeah, I'll look into the legality of that and kind of see. Yeah, I have no issue with that. So.
So we all need a little more time to review this, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and again, this will have to be adopted by resolution, so I'm just gonna keep putting it on as a discussion item, and if you would spend some time and make some notes, and that way, as things come up, for instance, the mail, we can look into that, report back to you, and offer some different language that could possibly go forward in that, so, yeah, definitely.
All right, thank you. Moving on to number 7, resolutions and ordinances. Number 1, ordinance number 16, 2017. Paul, I'll let you proceed with that.
Okay, let me get that. So I'm gonna get caught up here real quick. Sure. So, Mayor and Trustees, this is an ordinance concerning interfering, tampering with public utilities, and establish a permit required for work on public utilities. We have a lot of construction going on within the town of Wiggins by a lot of different contractors, and we need a way to track it a little bit better. So that is one reason I'm bringing this for you. The second reason, we have a hodgepodge of different ordinances concerning public utilities and right-of-ways. This kind of follows a lot of what's in the Colorado state statutes. We have a defaming property ordinance. That's not the right word. So we have an ordinance that's back to '86 that kind of deals with, you know, touching utilities, and we got a little bit in some of our water ordinances, and basically we have this hodgepodge of things about who can do what work in the right of way. So one we're trying to do is just to establish a permitting process so we know what's going on, what's tracking going on, and so we can kind of permit, and which would hopefully prevent leaks and breaks. And also then we also have concern with contractors or homeowners or anyone along the line that's doing work to public utilities without informing the town. So we've, you know, just some examples. We've had, you know, some lines that may have been dug up that have been city lines. We've have some hoses connected to meters, things along that line in the past, why people are doing some work on things without informing staff. We've had a water line hit, you know, why people were doing work around the water line in the town's easement, and that recently was the water power, or the outage we have of the water in town. So, you know, kind of with that, we're just kind of establishing, you know, public right-of-way or public utilities, you need to come for the town, give the town a plan of what you're doing, and making it basically illegal to do things on your own without notifying the town going forward. So we also address meters in there. We left some flexibility in there for emergencies, but we've had a lot of problems with meters in the past. We got a couple that are continually just opening the meter lids and damaging the nut that goes on top of it, and we've had to replace a lid 3 times within a year, things along that line, because they just have to look every week to see what their meter reads are. So that's just basically what this ordinance deals with. Hopefully you had time to kind of read through it. So nothing that's really out of the ordinary, just something that really hasn't been looked at since '86 was the last thing I found on it, and what we had in '86 was kind of 2 paragraphs and very broad.
So, oh, excuse me. Go ahead.
Aren't citizens required to call and have these areas? You have to call the REA, the water.
The locates.
The locators, yeah.
That is state statute, yes, and we also put that as a part of our permits requirements when we issue permits.
So when we require a permit, we're going to post this and let everybody know that, you know, the locator part will be on there, but
Oh, most
it will
definitely.
be marked.
Yeah, that'll be always a condition of the permit that locates are called in.
So I'm going to be really blunt and say the penalties are not big enough. $2,500 max. I just don't think that's big enough for the kind of work and stuff we have to do when those areas are damaged.
So
Even if they
But
recover
we are
costs.
requiring them to have insurance, so
Right.
if they do any damage,
If
insurance
they
is
do,
gonna
if
cover
they
it.
do the permit.
Sure. So the maximum permit is $2,650. That is a maximum that a statutory municipality can fine under Colorado revised statutes. I do have a minimum of $250 in there, so that gives the judge some latitude based off of what it is. Because, you know, I don't necessarily, if I have a repeat offender with a, you know, tampering with the meter boxes, I don't think they really need a $2,000 fine. They just need probably a slap on the wrist, please stop this kind of thing. And you know, and that's how, you know, honestly, it's how we would do it. We'll just give a warning, hey, there's this ordinance out there, you need to call, you know, we understand there's an emergency, then, you know, if it continues going on, then that's when we do that with everything in town.
And the fine is in addition to our costs, covering our costs for having.
Yeah, if there are
repairs.
damages, the town can definitely recover damages through civil penalties and also through their insurance, because we do require that. For instance, all contractors in town, that's why we do the contractor's license. We make sure they do have a copy of the insurance policy and things, and, you know, we'll obviously be double carefully as we do stuff with public utilities and right-of-ways. You know, then we have some, you know, we've had some issues with people that, you know, keep digging large drainage ditches, for instance, in the alleys and causing problems and flooding 2 other people out. And, you know, how do we don't really have a mechanism and
In place.
to deal with that. So, and it's not opposed that everything, it may be okay to do that, but we just need to know what people are doing before they do it to make sure it's not hurting everybody else down the road on things like that. I respect the people that have spent the money and put asphalt in their alleys to work together, and they grade that thing every week, and, the town is fine with that, don't have an issue, because it helps us out, and, but, when they're tearing things up, that's when we kind of get into problems too, so.
Kind of helps protect everybody around in case it's
Does-
done wrong.
Yeah.
Well, and we still need, even if we're doing our alleyways, we still need to have it all marked, so that we're not covering up something that the city needs.
No, definitely.
Okay.
And that's really one of the challenges as a town. We don't have good maps of anything in town. And when we go mark things, we got to mark them wide and estimate, because we just don't have that. We do have that in our USDA loan to have some money to actually get those surveyed and get them on a GPS, so we can have those in the future and have good maps. But that's another example really why we need something in place, so that we know what they're doing before they get out there and do it, and just don't go, somehow a job could start over here and end up on the other end. And we need to know there's a point you got to stop. And with any of these ordinances, the first part we like to use is use them to educate people and to do it. And an example is, it's hard to keep up with contractors in town. A license, we do check, and we're going to try to get more forceful, really checking now. We have a large number of contractors in town, but we do require a contractor license, and we educate them. Then if they refuse to get it and keep doing work, and that's when we'll do a fine. There are some instances, we had a contractor that was working in the street over at the school. This was over the summer, hit a gas line, and our town staff was tied up there for 3 hours for the day. He got issued a summons for not having a contractor's license, even though he didn't know. That's not my fault. He's not taking the time to put those things in, because that was an example of the extreme happening because someone didn't take the time to look into things. So, I think we'll use good discretion as we move forward with this, but it does give us a nice process to.
Does this repeal, revoke, or replace any other ordinance, or is this just kind of a summary of all of our ordinances?
It does not repeal anything. As I mentioned, there's some ordinances back to '86, but they also cover other aspects. So I just made this ordinance specific. So if the law enforcement were to write a summons under this, then they would reference this ordinance, just really relate it to the public water lines and right-of-ways
Okay, thank you.
going forward.
I move that we pass ordinance 16/2017, an emergency ordinance of the town of Wiggins concerning interference or tampering with public utilities and establishing a permit requirement for work on public utilities or in public right-of-ways.
I second it.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance number 16/2017, an emergency ordinance of the town of Wiggins concerning interference or tampering with public utilities and establishing a permit requirement for work on public utilities or in public right-of-ways. Roll call, please, Pat.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Roancook,
Yes.
Charles Rule,
Yes.
Anna Brooks.
Yes.
Jeff Palmer,
Yes.
Mayor McLeon is absent, Mayor Pro Tem Mary Ellen Mercer.
Yes. Okay, ordinance number 16-2017 has been passed. Okay, resolution number 58-2017.
Sure. So Mayor and Trustees, I'm just going to, they're a very similar grant, so I'm just going to talk about both of them together. So at December 1, DOLA, Department of Local Affairs, has their energy impact grants that are available. And I'd like to submit 2 grant applications. This will go for the water and sewer system. So one will be in the amount of $200,000 grant is what we'll be seeking. Odds are we probably won't get both, but you never know till you try. I've been talking with Greg Edel, our local rep from DOLA, and he understands the urgent needs we have on our water and sewer systems moving forward, especially with the growth we're having. So the first one will be with the water system for $200,000. It does require a 50-50 match of the town. However, that 50-50 match can be met through other grants and loans, i.e. through the USDA. So this will actually work together with the USDA loan that we're hoping to apply for the water system for the $200,000. And the other one is a $1 million grant for our wastewater sewer system. Our, as we talked about in our PER, the wastewater actually turned out to be a lot more large sum of money than what the water system is for our long term of what we need to do. So I'll be applying for a $1 million grant, again with a 50-50 match that we can either use different funds such as CCWB, funds, state revolving loan funds, or the USDA rural development funds is which we'll be going after, and this will actually help us with our USDA loans as far as a match. So I'll be glad to answer any questions on those, and I'm hoping to get those out the door here in the next 3 weeks or so. And obviously, but when the grants are awarded, you will have the full packet and contract that you'll have to sign. So before the town's committed to anything particular, this is for the grant application. Just like on the other ones, you'll see an entire 100-page contract you'll have to sign that the town will have to sign. So.
What is the mineral impact? It's kind of tacked on the end. I just wondered what that.
Yeah, so where these funds come, the funds are from the oil and gas fields, and they're funds related to the impact that oil and gas fields have on the area. Okay. So part of the grant application, we have to show that the town of Wiggins is receiving an impact or something that's causing us to have some extra expenditures, which we've been able to, really to codify in the last couple of years and show because of the increase in road traffic coming in from the oil industry and housing from people from the oil industry. That's where those funds come from. So
okay.
That's the relation you have to show.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we pass Resolution 58, 2017, a resolution authorizing the town manager to sign and submit a grant application for water system improvements in the amount of $200,000 to the State of Colorado Department of Local Affairs Mineral Impact Grant.
I second it.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 58-2017, a resolution authorizing the town manager to sign and submit a grant application for water system improvements in the amount of $200,000 to the State of Colorado Department of Local Affairs Mineral Impact Grant. Roll call, please.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Roancook,
Yes.
Charles Rohl,
Yes.
Anna Brooks,
Yes.
Jeff Palmer,
Yes.
Mayor McLeon is absent, Mayor Pro Tem Mary Ellen Mercer.
Yes. Resolution number 58-2017 has passed. And now do I hear a motion for resolution number 59-2017?
I move that we pass Resolution 59, 2017, a resolution authorizing the town manager to sign and submit a grant application for wastewater sewer system improvements in the amount of $1 million to the State of Colorado Department of Local Affairs Mineral Impact Grant.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 59-2017, a resolution authorizing the town manager to sign and submit a grant application for wastewater sewer system improvements in the amount of $1 million to the State of Colorado Department of Local Affairs Mineral Impact Grant. Roll call, please, Pat.
Chris Sandoval,
Yes.
Joanne Roancook,
Yes.
Charles Rohl,
Yes.
Anna Brooks,
Yes.
Jeff Palmer,
Yes.
Mayor McLeon is absent, Mayor Pro Tem Mary Ellen Mercer.
Yes. Resolution number 59-2017 has passed. Is there any further business to come before us tonight?
I just have one thing I'd like to add just related to the grants. We're getting very close. As I mentioned to you at the last meeting, we had the PERs done for the USDA for that. We've reviewed the environmental assessment report, which is almost 1,000 pages with all the appendices going into the USDA. So working with the USDA and how we're looking at, I'm going to give you obviously details when we get closer. I just kind of want to give you a heads up as we start turning things in. We're able to structure the loan grant request. We're going to go in kind of for the maximum amount that we feel we can go, that we can sustain 6 years out from now. So we're going to look at that. And the reason why, if we phase it and say, for instance, the water's at $12 million, if we do $1 million now and $1 million in 2 years, they're going to make us redo the EA assessment according to the federal rules. Every time we do a different application, we'll have to update that. So what they can do with us is we can put everything we want to get done in the next 5 years. Then what they can do is just stagger the loans. And so we'll get approval, get the grant, see what we have. If town continues to grow at the rate we're going, then the money is there. If town for some reason slows down, then we could go ahead and return those extra funds because they really won't go out, so we won't recharge interest on that. So that's how I'm going to kind of set up the spreadsheets for those. And I don't have an exact amount. We won't do the whole 12 million or on the water, and definitely not the whole 28 million, I think is what the whole sewer thing was. But, you know, I'm gonna take some pretty big chunks and see what we can get, in the way of grants from USDA. So, so we'll put it out there, then we'll kind of come back and, renegotiate down as we need to. So I just kind of want to give you a heads up. I'm having those conversations with USDA, and I'll be submitting something on behalf of the town, but it won't be necessarily, anything. Obviously, we'll come back for the board for approval. Everything has to. But I do want to give you a heads up, just in case you got wind of, I'm, you know, applying for, you know, $15 million USDA, which is possible what that amount's going to be, 15, 18 million. But, you know, I want to see how many millions we can get with grants to go with it, and then we can kind of back into that over the next 5 to 6 years. Their only requirement, it's completed within 5 years. Otherwise, we'll have to update those EAs, you know, at $30,000, $50,000 a pop for an update, you know, every 2 to 3 years, which doesn't make any financial sense on that end. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of give you a quick little update on that as we're looking at grants. And this is just one part of it. You know, we're, you know, looking for other opportunities for grants and loans. And, you know, DOLA really is the best grant out there. And rural development will have, I think, a pretty significant grant to go with it, but they're based off a percentage of the total loan package. So it just depends on where the funding is at the time when we apply, is what they'll base it off of, and what the need is. So.
Any questions for Paul? If there is no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.